No, I don't have a cat, Marty. Sorry. To be honest, I have 3 cats. And a vagina. Why didn't you tell me you were live?
Because we talked about this a minute ago.
That's probably the best intro ever.
Luckily, your cats don't listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cats don't fucking listen. You're right.
So maybe we try this again.
Here we go. This is going to be good. This is
Yeah.
the second start will be the best start.
Yeah.
I mean, I think luckily the YouTube, it starts a few seconds in. It doesn't start when we actually hit the yellow button. It might be okay.
No, it probably got that.
Yeah.
One
Reports of my vagina are greatly exaggerated.
Mulan labia.
Yeah.
I mean, it is the current year.
Maybe I should take up women's wrestling.
Give me like 4 seconds so I can find the point where I need to cut this when I edit.
What? You're going to cut this? This is gold.
Yeah. This is the whole show now.
Hello to all you Patriots out there in podcast land, and welcome to episode 154 of Canadian Patriot Podcast, the #1 live podcast in Canada. We're recording on Monday, October 15th, 2018.
I am Marty, hunter and sports shooter in rural southern Ontario.
I'm Liberal Tim. I'm a husband and father of 3. I'm a sports shooter and the owner and operator of Tim's Good T-shirts. They're quite good. I'm also the proud descendant of immigrants and the owner of cats.
And a shiny new vagina.
Yes.
I'm a Gavin Hunter, atheist, business owner, CCFR field officer for the GTA, and recently upped my skills. So now Andrew and I are both slightly lower than tactical medics. You know, we can't quite cut people's throats open and put tubes in it, but
Legally.
yeah.
Allegedly.
Exactly.
But we did have some tubes put in some interesting places, that's for sure.
Frightening. As always, my name is Andrew. I'm a recovering libertarian, competitive shooter, firearms instructor at Ragnarok Tactical, and your host for this horribly derailed shit show.
That's per SOP.
Poor bastard.
Oh, I guess I'm supposed to read this. The show notes are stuff from last
We'd love to
week.
feed your beer back.
We'd love to hear your feedback about the show. Please visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com or email the show feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. And you can check us out on Stitcher and iTunes.
Check out the podcast at Facebook.com/Canadian Patriot Podcast and Instagram at Instagram.com/Canadian Patriot Podcast.
Anybody else like how bad he is at his own show notes? This is why we need your help. Support the show. Visit us at patreon.com/CPP and become a Patreon. You can get a better quality version of the show for just $1 per episode. The more you pledge, the better the rewards are. As always, you can show you are not a communist expecting shit for free by supporting the show and buying a CPP t-shirt. It's $19.99 plus shipping and theft. Visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com homepage and follow the link conveniently located to the right.
Got to be careful with that stuff on the right.
Yeah.
Why is Andrew's terrible audio? That's not in here this week. That was last time we tried to do the show. Let's
There's
do
apparently
Arrowhead
20
Coffee.
to 25% more internet to the right these days.
Cat food can.
Yeah. Arrowhead Coffee brings us the next segment. It's called What Are We Drinking? Arrowhead Coffee is owned and operated by Canadian Armed Forces veterans. They love our country, the true North, strong and free, their family and friends. Join Arrowhead Coffee on their hunt for the perfect brew to raise morale and bring that feeling of home to you no matter where you are. A portion of all profits helps Canadian Armed Forces members, veterans, and their families. So what are we drinking? Gavin, what are you drinking?
I am drinking the official beer this evening, Coors Banquet, for those of you that don't know what that is.
All right, Marty, what are you drinking?
Boring. What are we drinking this week? I'm drinking the Coors Banquet this week.
Oh.
All right,
Excellent choice.
Tim, what are you drinking?
I've been drinking Rickard's Red since suppertime. The time when I
All
sup.
right. That is fair. I'm drinking Crown Royal Maple this week. Gavin needs to update the show notes. While he does that, I'm going to do the upcoming events. We have a 22 precision rifle match coming up at the Guelph Rod and Gun Club, October the 27th. The match fee is going to be $40. It's 50 rounds of ammo, 22 ammo, so you probably won't go broke. 5 stages, distances from 0 to 100 yards. Say again?
So except for that match fee.
Well, yeah, the match fee is a little more expensive than I would like, but I need a set amount of money in order to be able to run the match because props and stuff, but also because the club wants 50% of the gross income. So this is what it is. That's how much money I need. I need $20 a shooter in order to run a match. So
It'll be super fun, though. I'll be there.
Yep. Join your local gun club. Become a voting member.
Yeah.
fix this
All
nonsense.
these assholes off the boards.
Yeah. Gun club elections are far more enjoyable than actual elections.
They're something. I'll give you that.
Yeah, but I'd rather have those than to deal with the candidates and the other ones.
All right, let's start on the news this week. We're going to start with NAFTA stuff, which is not NAFTA any longer. It's the USMCA. I don't know. I get very confused with this
a
acronym.
shittier name.
Right, so it's
Yeah.
the United States Mexico Canada Agreement, because I guess calling it the North American Free Trade Agreement was too misleading.
Yeah, that was, I guess, far too confusing for people.
So
Let's start off on a positive note. Let's talk about all the things that Canada gained in this agreement.
Like
Well,
higher prices.
Freeland-
That was a good segment. Now let's on to the things that we lost.
Yeah. Everything.
Yeah.
Our dignity.
Freeland is probably going to have a lot of jobs with the government for the rest of her life because of her amazing vision of the USMCA. I don't know why so many people are praising Freeland like she did a good job. This is not a good agreement.
See, I don't know why you believe that people are praising Freeland, because all you see
It
is
was
the
in
media.
like 6 articles that I read.
Yes,
Well, yeah,
so
that's the
quit paying. We the media now don't pay attention to that shit.
Yeah.
So first off, she did have. Okay, I will say this: it was an impossible job because the U.S. held all the cards here, and what's frustrating me here is that all the people that were like, "Oh, Trump is crazy for trying to renegotiate and saying that NAFTA was a bad deal for the states," are now happy that we didn't give up that much because clearly the U.S. had all the cards here. So it's like, well, which is it? Like either they have everything to lose. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, but the typical media, they present
They
something from
don't.
such a narrow perspective. Like, you got to keep in mind, like, you're going in to negotiate with the U.S. and the U.S. right now is under, President Trump is the president, and our prime minister is the asshole who gave Omar Khadr like $10.5 million for throwing a grenade at a U.S. Army medic and killing him and knocking the eye out of a second one. So, like, right off the bat, like, there's a whole bunch of shit. Like, I don't think this stuff goes away when you're dealing with America. Like, we've been signaling left for so long, and now there's a strong right, American president and it's oil and water, man.
I wouldn't even call him
he's 100%
strong,
right.
right?
He's bad. Sorry, he's 100% right in that it was a bad deal for the U.S. Like, they're the market that everyone's trying to sell to, and we're not letting them sell on us, or there's not an equal amount of reciprocation. So it's just us undercutting their own market. So like he's 100% correct that it was a bad deal, and we need their market for our economy because our economy is now based around selling stuff to them. And so, yeah, they held all of the hand in this renegotiation. Like, it was a bad deal for the US. We knew it. Everyone knew it. And so, yeah, try and negotiate from Canada's perspective. It was an impossible situation, but it's still a loss. Like, to call it a win for Canada is crazy. Trump won here.
Yeah. It's kind of like if we were getting free cable for 16 fucking years and then finally someone cracked down and you bought the cheapest package and you go, well, at least I didn't have to spend this much. You know, we had a good ride for a long time, and I don't know why. I guess because the US didn't really give a shit about the trade agreement. Like, it wasn't.
I think it was just because of ineptitude from their politicians previously.
Probably, yeah. This is the first time they've actually had a business owner in power rather than like some sort of lawyer or politician or like policy maker that doesn't actually understand how the real world works.
Okay, yes, both of these things are true, but you also have to remember how long NAFTA was in effect. The last time they negotiated this thing was like 15 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Was that under Mulrooney?
I
Probably.
I think it was. I really believe. I believe I was in freaking high school, and it was like Mulrooney.
But so I don't know, and I'm not going to enter in that. But the point remains,
Clinton, wasn't it? The U.S. president at the time.
What, Clinton and Chrétien then? Maybe.
Oh, maybe.
The point remains that it has been a long-standing.
Yeah.
Right. So, this has the potential to be long-standing as well. This is like a 16-year agreement with an option for a 6-year renewal.
A renewal and a renegotiation after 6 years.
I don't know, but yeah, like it's something that, you know, potentially on all sides needed to be renegotiated because, you know, it's always good to see where we stand on things and renegotiate.
Sorry, no, I want to disagree with Marty there. So it is a 16-year term on this deal, and it's a review after
review, identify and fix problems.
Right, but we're still locked. Like, we still are not. We're not going to be making significant changes. This is the deal we have.
I mean, if you're having 6 years, if you can review and change things to fix problems, is that not negotiating said changes?
Maybe if Freeland's not in charge, because I worry that we're going to have more gender-focused outcomes or whatever it was that we were negotiating on this time. Or,
well, that's if she even bothers to show up to the renegotiation.
So I know what you're saying, because that's what we're being told, that there's no negotiation, and that at 6 years it's just a review and identify and fix problems. But to me, if we're going to review and make changes, that's a renegotiation at 6 years.
I don't think it's going to be that sweeping. I think we're going to say that we don't like a bunch of things, and the Americans are going to laugh at us, and then we're stuck with it for another 10. But that's
just probably the reality of the situation. But
depends. I mean, I think it's probably going to be more the other way. I think it's after 6 years we're going to have to make more sacrifices. Instead of having 4% of our dairy, they're going to want 6% of the dairy. Like, you know.
Which we should talk about the dairy thing, because Trudeau has already promised money to the affected dairy farmers to make sure that they don't have any impact to their bottom line. This was the whole argument against why we couldn't get rid of the dairy board and the supply management in the first place, because we would have to pay all these farmers. So now the Americans are making us pay all these. I'm still not entirely clear why we need supply for what we're doing here.
Yeah,
I can't really comment on it until the details come out in terms of what the remuneration is. Yeah.
Well, like if we had to pay farmers to not do supply management, now we have to pay farmers because we sold the rights to the milk to the Americans. I don't know how we came out any further ahead.
Still sounds like a whole lot.
Supply management is like $300 billion to pay off, so I doubt we're going to be getting them $300 billion in this deal.
Right, but if we do 3% now and we do another 3% in 6 years, and because we've already
and we still have both. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but it's until we get the details. It's just
Sure.
I'd rather just, instead of we giving like, billions of dollars to like all these different countries, we should have just paid off the dairy farmers from the get-go and then be done with it.
Yeah. Also, let's firearms owners, like, take note. Look what a small minority of people can do if they stick together as a voting bloc.
Ooh, yeah, but it sounds like you're accusing me, and I really don't want any part of that now. It's interesting you bring up firearms because this actually I did some interning in the background. I can do more than just drink and own cats, and it's the NAFTA. It actually predates the Firearms Act. It's been around since 1994, and it was under Chrétien.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yes. Anyway, it's gone now. We got this new thing under our week leader.
Yeah. It doesn't have
we
quite
seem
a
to
nice
lose out-
ring to it, though,
We seem to lose out quite a bit. I mean, the automotive industry, I don't think did too badly. The dairy industry loses 3% of the market share, but the actual dairy producers won't be affected because the government's just going to get them by tax dollars. Dispute resolution is basically the same. There are minor changes to that.
Mm-hmm.
We're stuck with this thing for 16 years. The Americans continue to own all of their intellectual property, and copyright laws have to change as a result. And they changed the thresholds on importing goods for consumers. So, yay, you get to buy more shit before CBSA charges you for it.
As long are we gonna get to that? Is that in the show notes?
That is actually the next article in the show notes. That's my little segue. Did you like that? You didn't even notice it was happening. Just slid right in there.
That's great.
Yeah, it did.
I will not comment yet. Then I'll hold my comments on that one.
You know what does not just slide in? Like we recently learned, nasal pharyngeal airways.
Enlighten us.
I recently
it seemed
had
to slide in a lot easier for you than it did for me.
Bill
had
Cosby.
nasal pharyngeal
So how did
airway.
they convince you? Did they start off with like just the tip, and then next thing you
No,
know?
it was more like, hey, this will look really good on the internet. And Gavin's like, well, I'll do things for the internet. And then Gavin's tiny nose did not accept the NPA, so we need to get Gavin a smaller NPA. My giant schnoz, on the other hand, better Andrew, who couldn't be with us this evening, applied a nasopharyngeal airway to me this weekend and used an adequate amount of lube.
Yes.
So he didn't
not
use
gonna
the
lie,
Cosby method.
it feels really fucking weird when it's up your nose.
It's the worst sinus headache I've ever had.
Yeah.
So like, so out of curiosity, what like was there any like lingering like soreness or that kind of stuff after having that in there?
I wouldn't call it soreness.
No, there was
for
no
me.
soreness, but I
had
to remove some lube again later that day.
Yeah, you had to blow your nose frequently for a little bit, and like there was some like residual tingling, if you will. Like you could tell that something had been rammed in your nose hole, but like it wasn't like, oh god, this hurts. It was just like, yeah, there was a tube in there.
When I saw that picture, I was just like, oh, I know what that is. Oh no.
Yeah. So if you didn't come out to the medical class, that's what you missed out on.
That's right. You too could have had things.
Sounds like I made good a life decision.
Yep, but now I know how to stuff things up noses.
Yeah.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, pretty much. Best $450 we ever spent.
Yeah. When you're ready to
real
demand a tip.
dollars too. Not even neck bucks.
Yeah.
You missed a good shotgun match though.
Yeah, well.
Anyway,
Right, so
now that we've ruined that horrible segue.
Service.
So the online shopping savings under the USMCA won't apply to Canada Post, Ottawa says. So they're changing the way that duties and taxes works on goods shipped from US retailers into Canada, but it doesn't count if they pass through Canada Post, only if they're through a courier service like UPS or FedEx. So the new rules are what you get $150 worth of stuff that's duty free but not tax free, which
Yeah.
I think used to be $20. So that's a significant increase.
I like the first try better. It was
Yeah, well,
increases are awesome.
increases.
So no, the $20 to $40 is the taxes or duty.
Oh, that's taxes or duty? Okay.
Yeah, so before anything under $20, there was no taxes, no duty. Now that's $40. And anything up to $150 is duty free, but not tax
Yeah, duty free, not tax free. Isn't that what anyway. So yes, $40 worth of stuff with no duties or taxes, $150 worth of stuff without duty, but not if it goes Canada Post because they're the single largest supplier of parcel delivery services in Canada. So why would we want it to apply to them?
Yeah, did they want the Canada Post to go out of business? Because this is how you make Canada Post go out of business.
No, this isn't going to be how Canada Post goes out of business.
Post is out of business. They just take more of your tax dollars.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's always more tax money, buddy. Never fear, eh?
Always money in the taxpayer's banana stand. So yeah, this is silly. There are some other changes with pharmaceuticals coming over the border and some other nonsense, but in general, I don't think anybody's going to see anything different. And the article generally agrees with my assessment: is that the consumers are not going to be impacted significantly one way or the other by this.
If only they would legalize the lower rate for, say, competing with UPS to allow them to compete with Canada Post. No one would care.
Hi, Ryan.
cracky.
Hello, everyone.
Look at that, just pops in with words of wisdom.
Yes.
Randomly.
Yeah, as you do.
Well, now that Dave's here, let's start being subversive, so we can talk about the right wing.
It's Canada's #1 subversive podcast.
It's true, we are.
The right
So,
wings usually have hot sauce on them.
That's very true. Everyone knows the right wings taste better.
Yes.
It's true. National Post article: Father says grade 10 worksheet to identify right and left politics was biased against right-wing views. So this is from BC. I think this happened in Kamloops, British Columbia. So there's a picture. Dude took a picture of his son's workbook. Also, grade 10 poli-sci, not what I remember it, because political spectrum is just a 10-question double-spaced sheet with like 120 words on it.
Yeah,
so that's
was that final exam or what?
Totally.
I don't know what this was, but this does not seem like a good review of the political spectrum in any class. But I don't remember grade 10 poli-sci being this easy or this left-leaning.
Yeah, when I took politics in high school, it was fairly middle of the road. Like, you were allowed to have opinions on either side, really.
That seems
So is this
unlikely.
guy claiming that the teacher is left wing?
Yes, I think that is what the parent is claiming. So let's run through some of the questions and answers quickly, because it's, like I said, it's 120 words.
Okay, so we are going to go through the evidence, because I don't see why he would think the teacher was left wing.
So allegedly, these answers were what was given by the teacher. So we'll run through the 10 questions. Number 1: a person who believes that convicted murderers should be hanged. Right wing.
Hanged.
A person.
There's no other.
Yeah.
Like this, he could be a liberal rope salesman for all this guy knows. Really.
Yeah.
Maybe he just likes knots.
So,
or a
so you mean,
carpenter. Building a lot of platforms.
unemployed rope salesman
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
This is going to be a 2-hour special just on this fucking test. Got one done already.
I mean, to be fair, the answer that the teacher gave is correct. Not in talking about where they fall on the political spectrum, but in that
And
A
then the
person that
correctness
believes
of it.
convicted murderer should be hanged is the correct answer.
Yes.
Yeah, no,
Yes,
it's
that
so,
is the right answer.
yeah, but it's so
I-
shallow. It's such a
I
shallow
do
thing.
not
They don't
require
go
them to be
into-
hanged. There's
they don't
all
go into-
kinds of like
Yeah.
That's
all
right.
kinds
They
of
could
capital
also be
punishment that
shot.
could be used.
Yeah,
The
But
thing
helicopters-
is capital.
I know,
Capital
but this is insulting. I know plenty of right wing people who also think that they should be hunted for sport, and they didn't mention the fact that the hanging should be televised for pay-per-view. Like,
Yeah.
come on,
Balance the budget
This-
somehow.
this is
Yeah.
what they're teaching. The kids. They're leaving so much out.
Yeah.
So the second one, a person who believes that the school strap should be abolished. According to the teacher, they're on the left.
Okay,
They're on the
can I
wrong.
just ask the question? This was a test given in the current year, correct?
Yes. This
Did
was
they
given
have
as
to
recently
explain
as a
to
week
children
ago.
what the school strap was first before they asked them this question?
Something on
More
your
than
bag.
likely. More than likely.
So my question is, the whiteout there, was that the child's answer and the teacher in theory fixed it? Or I don't
So,
understand answers given by
I'm guessing the father whited it out and wrote in pink to explain because
I don't know
all
what
the
kid
ideas-
answered.
I mean,
But But the thing is, like we think who would get, like, if we thought everyone should get the strap or whatever,
well,
like who would likely get the strap in a left leaning education system?
well, the right.
Communists?
right. So why would
anyone who
the
thought
left?
independently?
Yeah.
Although
so
I
the-
find putting anything to do with like kids receiving a beating from their teachers in a test for kids by their teachers, like every student is going to be like, yeah, I'm good with getting rid of the strap. It doesn't matter what side of the political spectrum they're on, because they're the ones that are going to be at the receiving end of it,
yeah.
essentially. So yeah,
Ding, ding,
we're
ding.
all against-
That's why this is in here. Think about that.
well, yeah,
Oh,
but like,
but- What political group is on your side, students? That's
Yeah.
the left.
like it's such a stupid question to ask them. It's like going to drunk drivers and saying something about like abolishing the rules to drive. You know, like yeah, we're for that. Get rid of all of those punishments. Like it's stupid. Like
The next question.
It's
We're
like
on to
all,
number
it's
3.
like all
We're
the
doing.
criminals that vote in favor of C-71.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You mean the liberals?
politicians in general, but yes,
I stand by criminals.
yeah.
Just anonymous.
Okay. Number 3, Andrew. We're doing good.
Doing great.
Well, we're not doing good. Well, we are doing good, actually.
We are doing good.
We're doing correct.
yes.
No, that doesn't work.
Far correct.
Correctest.
Yeah.
Oh, so Tim's not actually going to read number 3. He's just going to
Oh,
remind me
I
where
was,
we
I
are.
was handing it back to you, sir. Sorry.
All right. A person who is racist.
Okay. First of all, right up the bat.
Is the
I
answer
know.
those who
The
judge
left
another
wing.
person based on their race?
No, let's just everyone knows this. A sentence that short was probably written by a fucking Eskimo. So that's got to be left wing.
Well, what
Terrible.
definition of
Also, maybe
racist are they going to
It's
use?
not a great time to put guns, but
Well, the standard classical definition of racist, which is that you disagreed with someone on the left.
Yeah,
Yes.
because if it's people that treat people that are differently, then I would definitely say it's the left that does that. But
oh, this is not the time to play with that gun.
I'm not playing with a gun. I'm loading 308 rounds into a BCL magazine. I was given a BCL 102 to go deer hunting with, so I'm playing with the mags. So don't judge me.
Okay, fair enough.
well, just make sure the charging handle doesn't hit you in the face.
Actually, at the match this weekend, that's what happened to the guy, and he asked me about it, and I'm like, I don't know, that's weird, but it seems to happen a lot.
Yeah, we've seen that occur more than
Yes.
once.
Yes, I'll probably put an elastic band on it or something.
It builds character. It's a
Well,
yeah. It's actually BCL stands for a builder of character. Long arm.
I like civil lawsuits.
So any theories as to what they're going to change their name to next? To like NEA had poor quality, had a name for being poor quality, so they changed the name to BCL.
I think they're just
Now it has a
gonna
name for poor quality.
they're gonna just change it to POS. I think.
Ooh, I like that. That has a good ring to it, like
Yeah.
POS. Like it's memorable. It rolls off the tongue easily.
It's factual.
That could be the winner.
Plus, when people Google it, they probably won't get the actual company when they're trying to sue them. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
winner all around.
It's maybe not great, but effective SEO.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just hijacked that whole thing. Where were we?
I don't know that we need to go through all these, but the
No, we're
point
doing
remains.
I think we should keep going.
Are we? All right. Well, let me
Yeah.
let me rattle them off real fast. Maybe you guys just want to shout out your. Well, you know the answers, but a person who believes in a higher minimum wage.
believes in a higher minimum wage. That's
I know.
Higher
that is
minimum.
retarded.
I
Believes
also believe in a higher wage, but here we are.
Yeah.
believes what?
I don't.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Number five.
I believe I can fly.
A
Believe
person
in a
who
higher minimum
believes that the
wage.
police should be able to wiretap telephones.
But they can wiretap telephones.
Yeah.
Right.
This is fact.
Yeah, should
So-
they be able to?
So we're saying correct, aka right.
I
Yes.
believe it's a relatively outdated term and technique because
Plus, I would
nobody
say the
uses
left.
landline telephones anymore.
I
Yeah.
would say the left because they're all about the government intervention and surveillance. So,
Yeah.
except that the
I don't
G7
think anyone is for them doing that to anyone that doesn't deserve that happening to them.
Communist
And
Russia
no,
was
The
famous
communist
for
in this classroom says it's people on the right.
Okay.
You know, I don't want them tapping my phones because I've got, not without a warrant.
anyone
do
with
that.
common sense would be the answer.
Yeah.
They can tap my phone all they want. There's no landline at this house.
Yeah. I haven't had one of those in years.
Because they don't wiretap my Subversive podcast. I'm okay.
Oh no, CSIS has been listening to us for like the last year and a half at least.
Oh, I have no doubt. Hey, boys and girls and people on the fence.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi CSIS. With that high wage you're getting, you better be buying some damn good firearms. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And
Cool.
really good
Yeah.
wiretaps. I want my voice
Oh,
to be
boy.
recorded properly.
It's probably the intern listening to us going, oh, God.
We paid for them. You enjoy them.
Yeah.
If you're on a telephone pole tapping the wires, can you install some internet for me?
Yeah.
They have that on computers.
You're out
now.
there anyway.
Yeah.
Number 6. A person who
this
believes
is-
that
we gotta-
Canada
we
should
gotta
restrict
move on to better.
immigration.
We got to move on to better things. This is silly. The political spectrum is not left, center, and right on this little scale that the teacher gave them. And doing a 10-point questionnaire in the grade 10 poli-sci class is not actually teaching political science in Canada. This is ridiculous. Fortunately, the school board said that this is not approved curriculum and will not be used in any more classes.
Okay. Is this
Give
like
the teacher a slap upside the head. I don't see that in here anywhere.
Yeah, no, there's nothing in here about actually doing anything to correct this, just that they're not going to do it anymore.
Here's my guess. The teacher was told to not let the tests go home and to have all phones put on their desk at the beginning of these tests.
You know what they
I'm
need?
guessing the teacher
They
was
got to
told
take a.
tests were racist themselves.
It is
And
on
so
white paper.
Yeah.
Oof.
So she needs to start assigning marks based on how they feel.
Well, they should just take a page out of Ford's book and put snitch lines in. If your teacher teaches stuff that's not part of the curriculum, you can call and snitch on the teacher.
And then the left could wiretap them.
Yeah.
System
All right,
works.
let's do some more alt-right things. We've got some articles from the Star. 2 out of 3 from my new favorite author, Alex Boultier. I don't know if that's the right pronunciation. Also, I don't care because I don't like this dude. So the 2 out of the 3 that we're going to talk about: Rise of right-wing extremists presents new challenge for Canadian law enforcement agencies, and his follow-up article, CSIS sees significant jump in far-right activity online. There was a third article about the influence of the right-wing in the Canadian military, but we're not going to talk about that because it's not a very good article. It's incredibly poorly written, and the military says that they will look into it. So, go Army. But
I would not say that's us either. I like to think that we try to take things from a common sense perspective. I mean, we even have our token liberal Tim here.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Yeah, I'm here.
Try to have represent views from both sides of the spectrum.
Oh
on this podcast.
yeah. I'm ready to defend. I'm ready to attack slut shamers and people who are against analingus and all that shit.
Yeah. Something for everyone on this podcast.
Yeah.
Tell your friends.
Yeah.
Let's do less of that and more talking about the right-wing people.
But before we even begin, I just want to point out
a new pussy installed just we could better
no.
empathize.
No.
So if everyone listening would care to take a second and Google Alex Boutelier, they'll see that he has a very weak jaw. It's just something you can do.
They're just terrible too. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Not a man with calluses, I'm guessing.
So who put things in show notes? Is this Marty? This must be Marty that was copying and pasting things.
Marty was incensed. He was furious.
Yeah. Who else reads the stories ahead of time? I mean, come on.
Wait, we use stories? I thought we just made this all up.
My show prep was feeding the cats.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
I added the quotes out of the article.
I mean, the whole thing is ridiculous.
Are we going to talk about the article at all first in terms of what this guy is claiming?
We should give it. Let's get a baseline.
Yeah, exactly.
Marty likes that. You like that? You want to take it off?
So essentially, what this guy is claiming is that that there is an increase of activity of right-wing, what he calls right-wing extremism on the internet in Canada. That there's Canadians that are espousing what he calls right-wing extremism and are viewing and searching out right-wing extremist views. He talks about some of the, he blames the Bizanet and what was the other guy, the van guy? Those attacks as right-wing, like the incel guy. I forget his name now.
Alec Assassin.
Thank you. He blames them as being right-wing extremists, and that he calls out the 3%ers, the Lemute, some other people that we've made fun of on this show.
Yeah, Soldiers of Olin, Odin, Lemute, the 3%, Storm Alliance, which I've never heard of before today, and the Proud Boys.
And the Proud Boys, yeah. So he calls out some of those as examples. So that's kind of that's the general thing, is that everything is becoming, all these people are becoming more right wing, and that the internet is increasing. There's becoming a lot more internet activity from in Canada on right wing extremism. That they've seen a 20 to is that this article or the next one, that there's a 20 to 25% increase of right wing activity on the internet. Which
doesn't mean anything.
No, because they're defining what's right-wing extremism.
Well, and okay, so looking at, like, they use traffic statistics for search terms in different provinces and then break it down per capita, searches by 100,000 people.
Over a 2-week period.
Yeah, which doesn't make any sense. It's the end of September, and the terms that they use are 1488, 14 words, David Duke com, which I assume is for davidduke.com, Burning Cross, Graveland, David Duke com, one word this time, Turner Diaries PDF, swastika tattoo. This is going to get turned into soundbite, I'm sure. Sieg Heil,
Yeah.
Warskins, Rahoa, Volknut tattoo, David Lane 14 words, Industrial Society and its future PDF, HFFH, swastika tattoos, Iron Cross pin, blue-eyed devil, ethnic cleansing game, and Iron Cross patch. I'm not sure if they know what terms are, but like, I don't think that they really nailed it here. I think they could have done a better job on their hate terms.
Yeah.
A lot of that stuff could just be perfectly innocent things. Could be left-wing people researching these sorts of things. Come on.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
We don't know what the intention is behind the search is. A lot of that because there's news articles about Antifa getting in these clashes with people and then going,
well,
who are these people? What are these groups? You know what I mean?
it's important to remember that roughly 88% of these search terms focused on neo-Nazi white supremacist websites. 88% focused on neo-Nazi white supremacist websites.
Oh man.
See Kyle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
of all
right
the
off the
things
bat,
they-
I mean,
Like they center on, like, obviously the swastika has been used by, Nazi Germany, but like it's also a Buddhist thing. So there
Right,
are Buddhists
and-
that go and get that. And the Valkenut, as far as I'm concerned, was not used by the Nazis at all. It may be potentially used by some new neo-Nazi group, but it's also a Viking symbol that has been around for thousands of years and has absolutely fuck all to do with racism. It has everything to do with the Norse gods. And even then, we're not entirely sure what the fuck it means. Because I think
Right.
there's
Well,
only
and then
like
they
3 or
have-
4 of them that have been seen on carvings in stone from that time.
But as a liberal, it doesn't really matter what it meant. It's how we feel about it.
It's how we feel about it now. And that's that's one of the things that they bring up is they talk about Canada's past of colonialism and how white supremacists have always been part of Canada because we've been raping and pillaging the natives for millennia. And it's not...
No wonder I'm so tired.
I will say this.
Yeah.
In terms of the
centuries.
That's a lot of rape.
Yeah.
in terms of the original intent in the article, you know what? If there's people that are, if we have a bunch of people that are actually looking for David Duke going, yeah, I like that guy and what he believes in, and I want to get involved with that. Yeah, those are shitty people. And,
Yeah.
we don't necessarily need more of that. A bunch of the groups that they mentioned we've made fun of them before, like they're LARPy, they're
we're going to continue to make fun of them because the 3% we can't take seriously and say that the soy boys, I mean, the Proud Boys are right-wing extremists. I don't think these guys understand what they're...
No, they're a bunch of...
I don't think that's right.
I will say that, like the based on the search terms, if people are looking at these with the intention of like, let's support these groups and let's join these groups. Yeah, those are shitty people. We don't need them in our society.
Most of the...
But at the same time, where is the article about the left-wing extremism? Where is about the people that are joining fascism? What have any of those groups that they've mentioned, the Proud Boys and all that kind of stuff, what have they done compared to, the Berkeley riots we saw down the South? We look at when the Ferguson riots happened with Black Lives Matter. It's like left-wing extremism recently has caused millions of dollars of destruction and damage. Where is the news article about the threat of left-wing extremism?
People that Google Bernie Sanders or Mao or Stalin or Lenin or Marx.
Or how to break a
Like,
Starbucks window.
extremism on both sides.
Or where can I buy a Shea t-shirt?
Yeah.
Right. Like,
just steal it from your
shitty
boyfriend.
people on both sides are an issue, and we should,
Yeah.
we should not tolerate that in our society.
Okay, so
But it's on
you're
both
talking
sides.
about the dichotomy of the two sides. I want to talk about the dichotomy of their approach of the right just in this article, because they're talking about how these groups are not successful. They tried to get together for protests and rallies, and they get 100 people, and that doesn't even merit a counter protest from anti-fascists. Like that somehow is a good thing that the anti-fascists are there or not.
Yeah,
This-
that one pissed me off because they're like
Well, but-
as if anti-fascist was a legitimate thing that should be
Yes.
there to
So
Luckily,
yes, there is
anti-fascists,
that.
yeah.
The dichotomy that I'm trying to get to is actually simpler than that. If they're not, if the right is such a minor inconvenience and it's not a threat, why is there 3 articles 3 days in a row from a writer on the Star? Like, these are like 2,000-word articles.
Oh,
Why are they posting this stuff about how terrible the right is if they're not really a threat?
okay.
Well,
When it comes
because
to
if they
this is the Star. This is the red fucking Star. This is a left wing,
that's right.
far left wing, socialist freaking rag.
So let's okay. Now let's look at some of the quotes that I pulled out. So one was the definition of what they consider, the right wing extremisms. So a group offers some common themes: nationalism, often driven by racism or xenophobia, perception that government is illegitimate or holds no authority over the movement's adherents, and a desire to preserve an imagined heritage or homeland.
Canada has
the hell
no
is that
national
supposed to mean?
identity.
Why is our heritage or homeland an imagined thing? Do we not have a heritage?
Well, yeah.
I thought we did, but maybe I'm misunderstanding.
Yeah,
we also
maybe I
have no, we
imagined
also have
all
no
the-
national identity.
Maybe we imagined all those Heritage Moments commercials when we were younger.
Yeah.
And that was something that was that last line that bothered me, because I'm like, bullshit. Like,
Yeah.
we do have a heritage. We do have a history, although it's not, a super long
Yeah.
history. Canada does have a history. We have,
Yeah,
very
very-
members of our society, and
yeah, a
And
very proud history
generations
of
yeah.
maple syrup and poutine and rubber ducks.
Yeah. This is a completely unveiled socialist attack on national identity.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess I'm a xenophobe because I believe that Canada has a heritage
Yeah,
according to this article, but
I'm
Yeah.
pretty happy I live here.
yeah, a heritage that's made up of various groups of people that all came here.
Yeah.
To make
Yeah.
Canada what it is.
with one goal. Yeah.
Yeah.
My take on this: if you are not liked by Alex Boutelier or whatever the hell his name is, Boutelier, like, then you probably would be a good friend of mine. Like,
Probably okay.
probably a
Yeah.
solid buy you beer and wings.
Yeah. Only right wings though. Only the
Yeah.
right wing.
Probably right.
So next thing that I pulled out that annoyed me was his claim that far right groups, because so essentially they were seeing a strong correlation between right wing people that believed right wing values, what he considers right wing values, with law enforcement and forces. And so he
Hangings
came
and
to
stuff.
conclusion
Yeah.
that far right
This
groups
crap.
were joining law enforcement or the Canadian forces to gain access to training and weaponry.
Yeah.
No,
I
I
don't
don't think so.
see
Sneaking
that
a leopard
being,
out under your in your kit bag.
Yeah.
So
No, I mean,
off,
if
I find
people are real
I find it
assholes like that,
insulting.
they're gonna get weeded out.
Yeah.
first off, I find that insulting to our forces and law enforcement. If
Yeah.
they believe in, if they believe in nationalist values, which is likely how they ended up in the Canadian forces to begin with, then they're deemed that they were right-wing extremists who entered only to get access to what? Blank ammunition and shitty firearms?
Yeah. And no sleeping bags even anymore.
Right. Like the whole concept that they would that they would join the military to gain access to weaponry. Like, does this person even have any idea about
No. This dude
what
has
it's
no
like
idea
to be
how
a
guns
service
work or how the military works. This guy is out of touch.
Yeah.
It's incredible to have a comment like that in this article. It was insulting to our servicemen, and it just shows
Yeah.
how uneducated this person is on the topic that they're
Yeah.
discussing.
Yeah, I just want to say, Alex, go fucking lay down in the corner. In grade 7, I was taught in my socialist school system to write about what I know. You know nothing. Shut up.
The truth.
Go order.
And then-
Yeah, order a soy latte. Fuck.
And the last thing I pulled out was the final quote from the article. In the coming days, the Star will examine this question from 3 different angles.
Finally,
How
we get the
right-wing
truth, eh, Marty?
extremism is finding a foothold in Canada's military, how different police forces addressing the growing threat or address the growing threat of right-wing extremism, and how the movement is organizing online and what might be done about it.
Those aren't angles. That's just dumb. Angles would be like going and saying, "Hey, we read your blog and we think you're a white right-wing supremacist. Tell us about your thing." Like that would be an angle and a view. That's, I don't know.
Yeah, like let's look at it from the viewpoint of the person that is a right-wing extremist and how they ended up there and what their beliefs are.
Journalism.
Like that would be a different angle on it.
What is Bill suggested here?
I think they're approaching it from one angle.
Yeah.
And the whole
left
concept, I mean, as we've all seen over the last couple of years, anybody that doesn't agree with the left is immediately like branded a right-wing extremist.
Literally Hitler.
And so
Yeah.
so you can't just declare that anybody that you disagree with is a right-wing extremist and then make your own statistics showing that right-wing extremist numbers are growing.
Well, yeah. As I disagree with more people, they are.
The good news is right-wing extremist numbers won't grow because, like the Toronto van attack guy, who's apparently now a right-wing extremist, although how they made that leap in logic, I'm still unclear, is also an incel. So at least he's not breeding.
Yeah.
So that's the next article. It explains how the incels are right-wing extremists because incels live on the same type of message boards as the extreme right.
So
you mean internet message boards?
The internet message, those are the ones, Tim. You got it.
The same
Liberals
internet
in here can explain our Red Star article.
Okay, see, there's this thing out there called the internet, and when everyone goes on it, they become a right-wing extremist, including
isn't that how
artificial intelligence that was set up by Microsoft that was quickly turned into a neo-Nazi. Well, it's subjected to the internet.
Literally cyber Hitler.
Do you remember Tay?
Yeah.
That was 2016. They had unleashed an AI, and it just like the internet trolls went wild on it, and then it was just like.
Shut it down. But I mean,
is that the one that went on Jeopardy?
Oh, I don't know about that.
No.
But I mean, doesn't Antifa use message boards to stay in contact and organize and stuff like that?
Hey.
That's how the Arab Spring got started.
A logic-free zone.
Yeah. They also use estrogen though, so don't worry about it.
Is that the cure for the not becoming a right wing?
I don't know. It's just
Every time you go on a message board, you have a soy latte, and it counters the right wing activism.
Here's the stark truth.
Yeah, but then you become an incel.
Yeah,
and then you're right back to right wing.
Yeah, about 30% of the population is always going to be right leaning. That's just the way it kind of works out. And the media would like to portray us as like about 10 or 8% of the goddamn population. But it's just like in any walk of life, you're going to find like a certain percentage of people that are right wing, and then they'll gravitate into different careers and whatnot, like military, police, and some even make it into teaching. Yeah, but like the careers they get into are usually, you don't gravitate towards those careers if they don't like sync up with your like ideals and stuff like that. So.
And I would not be shocked if the military had. I mean, I know a lot of left-wing people in the military, but they're outnumbered by these sort of more right-wingy leaning people I know in the military and police because, I don't know, they just seems to be the way it is. Mm-hmm. And there's probably not a lot of right-wing leaning people teaching women's studies.
Honestly, I think there's a reason behind that, though, too. Like, people in the police, people in the military, they're dealing with real life. They're dealing with people in the real world day in, day out. So they have a better understanding of how the world works. They're not in a bubble.
Yeah, but the liberals basically they tend more towards the idea of the thing, and the idea is more important. It's like, oh, well, I believe in a minimum wage. It's like, well, yeah, but there's like economic studies that show that it has a negative impact on those people, very people it's trying to help. But it doesn't matter. They just believe in minimum wage. They don't want to see the they don't want to even listen at all to any of the different possibilities that could happen. You know.
Well, I mean,
so like we raised it from 10 to 12, and we showed that we can show that the people that we intended to help are now worse off. Well, okay, we just need to raise it to 14 then.
Yeah, we didn't raise it enough.
We didn't raise it enough last time.
Because of people like you, Marty, that minimum wage didn't work.
I mean, I believe in minimum wage too. I believe it should be a lot lower than it's.
It should be zero.
Yeah, or a dollar.
So
like,
for example, the Liberals enacted was it C80? Oh, we're drawing a blank. Where's our firearms? C80.
The new one?
No. C68.
C68. Thank you.
Back in '95.
Yeah. So they put in C68, and now we are, and it's not working. So our option isn't. Well, it didn't work.
Yeah, we didn't see 68. We didn't see 68 hard enough. We should have been.
It's time to double down. We should have done it
9 or C70.
See, that's the problem with laws like that, though, and the left-wing view on a lot of things is if it didn't work, it's because you didn't do enough of it, and if it does work, then you need more of it.
Except when it comes to pot.
Well, pot, you need more of it.
Oh, is that a segue? That sounds like a segue. In a major shift, the U.S. says it won't ban Canadian pot workers unless they're partaking in substances which are prohibited under American federal law. So if you work at the Ontario Cannabis Store...
Portion 7 of the test yet?
If you work in the Ontario Cannabis Store, you could probably go to America, but if you partake in the material you sell at the Ontario Cannabis Store, there's a strong possibility that Customs and Border Services will still deny entry to America.
I don't know why, though. Do you think that that's what they're going to do? They're going to try to smuggle pot into America? Like America has have trouble getting pot?
So
is that what they're...
Section... It's like a Section 3 or drug or whatever.
So right after they announced that they're not going to be such hard asses on Canadians that work in the pot industry, Trump announced that it seems he's going to potentially start loosening regulations in the U.S. as well. So I find this interesting. Stories kind of came out around the same time, so it may have something to do with that, and probably getting investors going north and south of the border to grow that industry and make a shit ton of tax dollars.
Dude, if Trump legalizes pot nationwide, the left will lose their goddamn minds.
So what I'm getting out of this is that Trump should legalize pot.
Oh yes. Oh, I think it would be brilliant.
It looks
use that
like
as an election strategy.
Pull
a Trudeau.
Yeah.
Pull a Trudeau, and we'll legalize it come December, like the month after the election.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be brilliant if he did, because it would just throw so the left hates pot now. Like,
yeah. Suddenly, none of them are smoking pot. They all switched to meth.
I'm pretty sure they're already on that, but yeah. All you pot investors, you're good to go to the U.S.
That's just what they want you to think.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the case. They can't travel to the U.S.
Sessions is standing on the side. Yeah. Come on over, guys. Come on over.
Hey, come on into the small room for a minute.
So you like to get stoned, eh?
Yeah.
Let's do more marijuana things. Ontario launches a website for legal. I'm sorry.
I'd rather not.
Ontario launches a website for selling legal weed. Canada Post will handle deliveries. It's on Ottawa Citizen, because the Ontario Cannabis Store is not actually going to be a physical store, which I am surprised with. But
it's terrible.
I mean, I'm good with this because retail space is expensive, so not. Well, no, like retail space is expensive. Like leasing is one of the biggest overheads in retail operations. So not having to deal with real estate, I'm actually okay with this government step of only selling the marijuana on the internet.
And I mean, if you open up multiple locations, there's a lot of redundancy there with like employees. You could do it much more efficiently from larger distribution warehouses, and then
I like it because we're going to get a lot less illegal guns stuck in people's faces there.
Yeah, that too. Absolutely. Because this is going to be a lucrative cash business, potentially. If the
it's government run. They're going to be able to use any banking institution and merchant processing service they want.
Oh, yeah. But like on a day-to-day basis, there's going to be a lot of people coming in potentially and buying stuff. So at the end of the day, if they don't do like multiple bank drops during the day, there could potentially be a shitload of cash there.
Yeah. But Dave, you're a little older than some of these guys like me, right?
Yeah.
And you remember before gambling was legal? And they legalized gambling. Do you remember that? And they started building the casinos in Ontario.
I remember it vaguely. I was pretty young.
And it was gonna be like
end of the world.
It was gonna be oh, they get all this tax money in. We're still fucking broke. You know, this isn't gonna cure everything. The government.
Tim, do you remember when the Model T came out and what that was gonna do to the horse industry?
I remember that. The horses were going to go extinct, but they're still around, boys.
Yeah. Nothing replaced the horse.
Because the government fucks everything up, and it won't be any different than them. Like, they'll be the only people to not be completely successful selling drugs.
The problem with giving the government money is like when you give a person who's addicted to cocaine more cocaine. They don't go, oh, well, gee, I don't need any more cocaine. Then they need more cocaine. And it's always the same.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask
That's
the
a
question.
good analogy, except cocaine users are people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Tim brought up a good point of by not having retail locations, there will be less threat of like armed robberies of these retail locations that have large amounts of cash and pot on them. But does that now make postal carriers a threat, or does that cause a threat to postal carriers?
I saw.
Do we need to start armoring all of our like every postal truck gets a Brinks car essentially, and they all get carry permits now.
Let's just go as we approach winter. Let's just take a second to talk about postal carrier threats. And I just want to make sure that this winter season, everyone keeps their stairs clear of ice and salted. I don't want anyone having a postal worker slip and fall and getting an early retirement on their,
Yeah, that's expensive.
Yeah, let's get rid of home delivery and use the post boxes.
Yeah. What are these sidewalks you keep talking about?
Yeah, I don't have those either.
They pave your roads? What are you guys talking about, guys?
That's where I used to sell my pot before the government took my job away.
Where are my tax dollars going?
It's paying for the Presbyterians to carol on your front lawn. Is where it's going.
I saw a great cartoon that a couple days ago somebody posted on Facebook, and it was a Canada Post worker at the door, and a woman's got the door open, and she's yelling back into the house, "Hey, your dealer's here!"
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a good one.
I do find the picture in the middle of this article pretty funny too. People look really, really happy on the Ontario Cannabis Store website. The dude in the middle is like just busting a gut. Like, all right then.
Clearly, they got some of that primo shit.
I'm thinking. I am enjoying this though because weed is bad. Weed is bad. Weed will kill us all. We're selling you weed. Weed is good. Smoke weed.
Did you guys get that card in the mail that explains how the whole thing in Ontario is going to work?
Oh, it was very poorly explained.
I did not get that. They did not. Rural Ontario did not get that.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to figure out weed on my own. That sucks.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's a double-sided English on one side, French on the other, and it like explains like the very basics of pot legalization. Like, just because it's legal, it doesn't mean you can get fucked up and go to work and things like that.
What? I think we addressed that in the next article. But
So,
It's
so
true.
Dave's comment on that picture in the middle of this article is like dead on. I like the guy that's like grinning with a slice of pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the best thing ever. And the chick on the left's just like, whoa, man. I'm going to go vote liberal.
I don't know, it's like, especially because it's like the banner above it, the effects of cannabis.
Yeah.
And it's like her
Yeah.
just spaced out, him just giggling, and then the dude with the pizza.
Yeah. And she's just racked out there with a nice tea, contemplating early onset schizophrenia.
Is that a big pot plant right beside her?
I think so. No, you can't do that. That's illegal. That would be wrong, sir.
Yeah.
Can
Well,
you
only
grow
in
your
Manitoba.
own? I haven't read that yet.
No,
When
it's
you go
on
to
the
Manitoba.
instructions the government sends you in Ontario. You definitely cannot grow your own pot.
Oh, they're not
What?
letting it.
I thought you could grow 2 plants. When did that change?
It was on the card that I got in the mail. They said I couldn't grow I was not allowed to
Luckily
grow.
in rural Ontario, we can still grow ours because we didn't get cards.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, in rural Ontario, that's probably where we were growing it before.
Yeah. Well, what was it? I think it's in the show notes or someone posted. There's the thing for like Manitoba or whatever.
Oh
where
yeah,
it's-
we'll get to that. That's
But that
coming up.
includes the growing one because it was like they have a regulation that is you can grow medical marijuana, but you can't grow recreational marijuana. Like there's a difference. Like
So let's play the
I thought
Price is
there-
Wrong,
wasn't there
Bob.
something about you could grow 2 plants as long as they weren't more than like 2
Under
meters high
a
or
certain
something
height,
like that?
yes. And
yeah,
apparently, you're not allowed to do that now. I don't know what the deal is because I don't
Oh,
care.
That's hilarious.
So how is this legal? How is it legal now?
Well, it's not. That's the whole thing. This is not. It's not legal. It was
Like,
never going to be.
Tomatoes are legal.
Yeah.
I can grow them in my backyard.
One of
No,
my
you
friends
need a permit
posted
for
a
that.
thing.
Where's your tomato permit?
Yeah.
One of my buddies
But they're-
posted a thing about welcome to legal marijuana, and I said, "Oh, you mean more highly regulated, highly taxed government monopoly marijuana?
yeah,
It's not legal. Legal
No.
would be they open up the
Yeah.
criminal code in Word and they search for marijuana and they hit the delete key and replace all. There,
Yeah.
now it's legal.
Oh.
Fucking cracky.
Russian hackers,
making
get
me
on
feel
it.
stupid.
Guns and marijuana, fix it for us.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you,
Oh,
North
all right.
Korea. You can do it too.
I wonder if I could
Let's-
open a
let's
gun
play the
store
Price
and
is
then
Wrong
sell
for
marijuana. Go ahead.
So, if you were going to do something in Manitoba with marijuana, and you got caught, how much do you think it would cost you? Let's say
lot.
you were smoking or vaping cannabis in a provincial park. What would the fine be?
All right, here's a question.
I thought
Is
vaping
vaping
was
cannabis like vaping cigarette where you're not actually doing the actual product?
I thought
No.
vaping was
The fine
punishable
is still
by death.
$172.
Vaping's illegal, isn't it?
Seriously, like everything from Manitoba is like $700,
Yeah.
except for the couple of things that are not. If you fail a drug screening test as a novice driver, it's only $113.
Which is odd.
Right?
Yeah.
That's strange.
To me, if that whole driving one is weird because if you're a novice driver, shouldn't the penalties be higher because
No, you guys are missing the best part. Manitoba has figured out how to screen for marijuana.
No, so that's my
Screen
question.
drivers for marijuana.
Because police in
So
Ontario are
is
wondering
the
how they're
screening
gonna do it.
test is the screening test like what they do now? It's like they can tell if you've smoked weed or like used marijuana in the last like month or whatever, or can it tell if you're high right now when they're doing it dry?
well,
And that's my
probably
question.
it probably tells you that you've been high in like the last 2 years, in which case they make more money by having everybody fail that test and have to pay the fine.
I think that's the
So like
test.
that's
that
what I'm
they-
asking this thing with the novice driver thing. Is it's is it like $100 if they're driving high, or is it $100 because at some point in the last I don't know how long those tests are good.
It just
for.
says failing
No
drug
idea.
screening tests. So does that mean they just pull you over and randomly, pee in the bottle or take a blood sample?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's
but
racist.
because
Remember we had to
has
get rid of
figured this
that.
out.
I mean, it's
Ontario
just all
can't
flat.
figure out how to drug screen, and Manitoba has.
It's
I don't
peeing in
know
a
how
bottle.
they have, but
It's
they
peeing in a bottle
have.
of cultural
Yeah.
appropriation. Is there a culture that pees in the bottle? Like we have to look into this before we just start peeing in bottles.
Only if you ferment it, I think.
Okay. Oh yeah, don't do that.
I like the driver
Prison-
carrying
prison
cannabis
culture.
in or on a vehicle when not properly stored. What's proper storage? Like in a
They're gonna
gun
have to,
safe in
yeah,
the
they're gonna have to put
trunk, or
it. You're gonna have to put a trigger lock on your pot and then put it inside of another locked case.
Keep it out
And
of
how-
sight there. Keep it out
how
of
about-
sight.
how about on a vehicle? You mean if you're like riding on the roof smoking weed, or
No, why is it
Skateboard?
more if they're consuming it? Oh no, never mind. I was gonna say, why is it more if it's on a, but the fine for the off-road vehicle and for a motor vehicle are the same. Never mind.
on a highway?
just-
So if I'm on a city street, it's less.
Yeah,
No, I think highway is just implied in the like the Motor Vehicle Safety Act as being like a method of public thoroughfare. Like a highway is a road, is a street, is the same thing. It's not necessarily like a divided blacktop at 100 km/h speed limit.
so if it's an off-road vehicle, is that only on public land or on my own private property?
It
Is it
just
like-
says off-road vehicle.
My
Because like if
question-
I have an ATV and I'm roaming around like my own farm smoking a joint, that's illegal?
It looks like you would get a fine for that.
but
but
only if
why
your
are-
off-road vehicle was not properly stored.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just like burying a body. Like there has to be a reason for them to be on your property to be caught.
For the cops
I'm
to
not
come
saying
onto
that's
your property and bury a body.
Just,
Come on, guys. It's okay.
it's okay. You can't be here.
We're still alive. Just so you know.
I know my rights.
I'm not dead. I like number 10. Growing non-medicinal marijuana, cannabis at a home in Manitoba, $25.42. $2,542 for growing non-medicinal cannabis. How about at my
Can
business?
I ask,
Am I good there?
how do you think that they arrived at these non-round numbers? Like
I'm like,
$670, that's not enough. $675, that's too much. $672, that's just the right amount.
Maybe it's HST.
I don't know. The numbers are random, but the $672 thing seems to come up frequently and seems like a lot for a.
I wonder if that's
What-
the same amount they hit you with for impaired, like alcohol.
I
It's
don't
probably
know.
the same.
Where do you think that they charge you tax on a fine?
Oh yeah,
I think
100%. They do.
Oh yeah, and a
100%
service
they do.
and a service fee to pay it.
Yeah.
victim surcharge,
So, like,
Yeah.
You can only pay it by Canada Post.
jaywalking.
so like
Yeah.
you must give us this money, and you must give us this money for paying us that money.
Yes, well, victim surcharges, right? I was jaywalking and I got caught, so it's like $100 plus, $52 victim surcharge. Like, what victim?
Oh wow!
Fucking, the
So in
sidewalk for
Manitoba-
not using it.
You've just been governed.
In Manitoba, at least in 2012, according to an article that I've interned on the CBC, the fee for drunk driving, first offense, is $1,000 even.
Really?
So it unless they've reduced the rate since 2012, which seems unlikely because government and inflation and stuff.
Yeah. And decreasing the rate would be seen as encouraging said behavior.
And mad with
So
losing
So-
their minds.
Cheaper to be smoking, like actively smoking marijuana while driving. It is less expensive. Than
I don't see why they differentiate between anything. Like impaired driving is
Isn't it
impaired
just
driving.
impaired driving? Yeah.
Like, 'cause
Yeah.
I have
Yeah,
a business colleague of mine that has narcolepsy, and he was
Oh my
charged.
God! Is that with the dead bodies?
Yeah, and
Don't judge.
he was charged with impaired driving because
Huh.
he has this
Can I just
condition
say-
that wasn't looked after, and it's
Can I
like,
just say that Liberal Tim has managed to make two separate jokes, both revolving around dead bodies today?
I know. He's like setting a new bar. Low
It is.
nuts,
It is October.
setting the grave bar lower.
Two
Yeah, like
separate, unrelated jokes.
yeah, like he got an impaired driving charge for not even being on medication or high or anything. He got a charge for impaired driving for not being on his medication.
Oof.
Well, it's
See,
the
that's-
same
that's-
as if you're.
But
if
that's
you're
that's my point. Like
Isn't that a
you're
How did
basic
they
impaired-
fail
human
that
right?
test?
Isn't it a basic human right to exist the way he exists? So, like, is it, aren't they?
But he
Not
doesn't
on
have
the
a he doesn't have
The
the right to
government's
drive.
forcing him to be drugged, so like to be.
If it keeps him awake so that he doesn't fall asleep at the wheel.
I'd say he doesn't have an argument on terms of that because you can be charged without having a driver's license when driving on the road. You don't have a basic right to.
Yeah,
be
but that's the
driving
thing.
on
Like
road.
he was impaired. The law is that you cannot operate a motor vehicle
So how did they?
while impaired.
Sorry, did he fall asleep and have an issue?
I'm not entirely sure of the whole story because he didn't tell me the whole thing. But
Okay, I'm like
my assumption is that he was pulled over because he was driving erratically of some shape or form as a
I'm just curious
result
because
of
we seem
sort
to
of
not be able to.
dozing.
We seem to not be able to test if someone's high or not. Yet somehow we can test if someone has
Yes.
taken their narcolepsy
Yeah.
medication.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
like,
I guess-
there must be more to the story.
There's
Well, I
Swami
may
cheek for
actually have
narcolepsy.
He may have a
My-
no
my-
driver license.
Yeah, my assumption is that he was driving not so good, and as a result got pulled over. And then when he got pulled over, the cop could see that he was very, very, very sleepy. And I guess either it's noted on his license or they asked him and he admitted it. But either way, he was charged with impaired driving and was charged the same as if he was fucked up on alcohol or drugs or whatever else. Impaired driving is impaired driving. That's it. Which is why I don't see why they've made driving whilst high double illegal everywhere else, except it seems in Manitoba where it's slightly less illegal than driving under the influence of alcohol.
My guess is because nothing interesting ever happens in Manitoba.
Yes, they're
So
like,
they're
let's see what
trying
happens.
Let's
roll the dice on this one and see what happens.
Just
Spice
arrest
things up.
everybody doing 20 kilometers an hour on the big flat road through the middle of the entire province.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? Manitobans could use some marijuana.
Yeah.
You don't want to discourage it too much.
Yeah.
Right. We're trying to boost our numbers here.
On the whole legality issue, getting off Manitoba for a moment, I had a friend who may or may not partake in marijuana from a non-government sanctioned source say that their dealer was extremely excited about the whole legalization thing because once people realize what the government is charging, he's going to get a lot of new customers.
Yeah, but smoking
it's gonna
non-government
introduce a lot of
approved
people.
marijuana is double illegal now. It is more illegal, well, in a day or 2, 3 days.
Well, now it's tax evasion, so they'll
Now
take it serious.
it's
Yeah.
double plus illegal. Yeah, that's tax
Yeah.
evasion. That's what got Al Capone.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny how something that's legal now is probably going to get
Syphilis
more
got Al
more
Capone.
violations and citations and stuff than when it was illegal. Like,
Yep.
well.
Next.
You voted for this.
Do another one here. CTV News. Ontarians don't have absolute right to be stoned at work. Human Rights Commission.
No shit.
So
That's
I am glad that we had to go to the Human Rights Commission to find out that people can't be stoned at work because that's not a human right. That's
Frankly, I'm surprised the Human Rights Commission came up with something commonsensical.
What? Hang on a second. What if they're Rastafarian?
Oof, good call.
Ooh, where's that on the flow chart?
a victim irony.
Yeah.
That's a good one. But I could also, like, if I was like Cheyenne or whatever it is that's in like that southwest part of the U.S., couldn't I be on peyote then? Wouldn't that be legal then for me?
just
Same, man.
not fall into our jurisdiction. So
No, but like if I was born there and moved to Canada and worked in Canada and wanted to go on a spirit quest at lunchtime,
At lunchtime in the washroom.
I'm still going with no.
401 Spirit Quest. You can't discriminate against someone's culture. This is a melting pot.
We need you to file this. I'm in the spirit world, asshole. That was some young guns too.
Young Guns, yeah.
Oh, classic.
You can't see me. Anyway,
It's been a fun episode.
Yeah, they were having some discussions about this at assorted workplaces that I'm aware of, and it was like, do you currently allow people to come into work totally stoned? No. Then why are we having this discussion?
onward,
This is stupid.
Christian soldier. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. People aren't showing up to work drunk, are they? Because alcohol is legal. No? Why would pot be any different?
exactly. That's what I don't get.
I don't know, man. I'm glad that this has already been settled by the Human Rights Tribunal, though, or the
Oh,
Human
thank
Rights
God.
Commission, rather.
Yeah, like Dave, I am
Why was
surprised
it-
though that they actually came out with the appropriate response, but
Why
luckily
was
they
the
did.
question that was even asked, though?
I don't know.
Got to be sure, man.
Yeah, I love the line. I love how they word things too. Accommodation does not necessarily require employers to permit cannabis impairment on the job. What? Yeah, no shit. Really. Thanks, guys.
Accommodation does not.
I love this sort of wording. The duty to accommodate ends if the person cannot ultimately perform the essential duties of the job after accommodation has been tried and exhausted, or if undue hardship would result, like people dying because you operate heavy machinery while you're stoned.
Yeah.
Undue hardship.
Ugh.
Well, I mean, once they try, at least, like, we'll try you operating heavy equipment stoned, and then if people die, then we'll probably advise that you stop.
Yeah, that caused undue hardship because Bob was crushed. Anyway,
Bob had it coming anyway, but
Oh yeah, that guy was a dick.
Bob's been a bit of an asshole
he's a
lately.
white
Yeah.
guy, then, whatever. Yeah. Next.
Last thing for today from Global News. Ontario government scraps beer tax increase set to kick in next month. So this was a scheduled increase under the previous Liberal government that was set to raise the taxes by 3 cents per liter of beer produced, and was looking at revenue for the government of about $11 million for the next fiscal year. So that's November through the following year. Naturally, people are freaking out because the government's giving up on all of this money that they should be getting, which I think is entertaining since it's not the government's money in the first place, so they're not really giving anything up. But it's also funny that the Green Party is freaking out about this because the Green Party's leader and sole seat holder, he's a MP from Guelph, MPP from Guelph.
Sounds like an asshole.
Mike Schreiner.
Well-
I met him, actually. He's a nice enough fella.
Okay, nice enough asshole.
Okay, so he's a nice asshole. He said that the Ford
A
government
little
is
confused,
obsessed.
maybe, but
The Ford government is obsessed with beer-related policies at the expense of at the expense of more pressing matters. Which
Taking
I
our
don't
money.
know that that's true, because this is a tax policy, not a beer policy. I mean, it's about beer, but it's also easy to say that we're just not going to increase taxes on a product or service. They
Yeah.
already tax beer, so we
But
don't
if
need
they-
to increase tax on beer.
Yeah.
so he
but
makes
if-
a comment of,
but do we double tax it?
being hired this beer tax revenue. Well, I would say this because he says the average Ontarian wouldn't notice a 1 cent difference on beer, but they will notice the declining state of our hospitals and schools as the premier follows through the austerity plans. So I'm assuming then that this Green Party leader would be fully in support of us doing a wage decrease on public sector workers because the public sector they're not going to notice
$1 an hour.
$20-$30
No.
difference per week in their pay. They're not going to notice that, but think about how many nurses and teachers would be hired with that money. So I would
Yeah.
assume that the Green Party leader would be fully on board with reducing wages for public sector employees.
One would assume.
Right.
Yeah, that only works one way, that street, though.
That's unfortunate.
One way logic. Yeah, I like that. How many teachers could we hire for $11 million? Probably not a lot, actually.
No, not that many.
Well, take
Then
the
you gotta
take
build
the
the school.
number take the number of teachers you could hire with $11 million divided by the number of kids in Ontario, and it'd be pretty lacking. It's really not a lot of money. But here is what happens if this person had any interest in the economy at all. They would realize that there's a trend normally, and when the government reduces taxes, incomes actually go up because people spend more money.
Yep. Of course, you have more money to spend, or you could pay down your debt that the government is always complaining about, that consumer debt's at all record high. Well, if you knock my taxes down by 15%, I'd probably spend that money paying my debt off and spending it on good things and hiring people and making the world work.
Yeah.
Plus, I'd buy more guns.
Yeah, I would also buy more guns. There's nothing else in the show notes. There's no rapid fire feedback this week. Oh, I lied. There's one more thing. In the show notes. No, I lied. Canada's announced we're giving $50 million to somebody that's not Canadian. I mean, that's not right. This is from
No, that sounds about right.
This is from Israeli. This is Israeli national news. This is Arutz Sheva
National
7.
news. That's racist if it's national news. We can't read that. We're going to support
it's not our
eyes of the alt-right.
Yeah, Israel has no core identity.
I don't know. I actually think of fruit salad on the line.
This article anywhere. Like, I couldn't find a Canadian source for this article, so we're going for the Israeli international news.
So first off, I'm going to say that it's an outright lie. Because there's no way we could have announced it 50 million in funding. There's no, we don't have funding available. The best they can say is that we announced that Canada was going to take out an additional $50 million in loans to give to Israel.
From the
but
World
there's
Bank.
no funding to be given to them.
Well, we're going to take $50 million from the taxpayers' future progeny, my great-grandchildren or great-great-grandchildren, however far we were leveraged into debt at this point, give $50 million to the United Nations. What's his UNRWA? It's the United Nations Relief.
With attitude?
No, it's United Nations Relief Works.
I love that rap group.
Fuck the Trudeau government. Actually, you know what? I have.
You have a drop.
Yeah, you have their latest album.
Oh God, my drops are all out of order.
You left them in BC, didn't you?
You had one.
Yeah.
Fuck the police.
Found it.
There we go. I tell you what I like about your future progeny, Andrew. They got big shoulders.
Oh, they super broke. So the United Nations Relief Works Agency, which is actually just for helping Palestinian refugees in the Middle East. It's not actually like, it sounds like it's for the UN, but it really is only to affect this one country. They get like $1 billion a year from the UN and other humanitarian agencies.
Seems to me if you dump that money into Palestine, you could probably just buy them all some nice condos over somewhere in Jerusalem and call it a day.
So we're going to leverage $50 million worth of debt to give to people that have been displaced for the last. How long has Israel been there? Like 70 years?
70 years.
Let's just look at this. I mean, this seems like a good case study. So if we've been giving them $1 billion for the past, however many years, I'd imagine they're doing really well now, right? Because like you give everybody free stuff, and everything's awesome, right?
No, but you need more free stuff. You always need more free stuff.
It's true.
So not so good then?
No, it's good, but you got to keep giving them free stuff because otherwise,
hey, you remember billions of dollars, then everyone has jobs and they're all making their own money now, right?
Yeah, but we still displace them. We still displace them. So we got to make up for that by continually giving them free stuff. That's how reparations work.
Yeah, but we didn't apologize to Quebec for the last 300 years.
Yeah.
Well, shit.
What? I say we just glass everything that isn't Canada.
The previous Canadian government, headed by Stephen Harper, stopped the funding to the UNRWA, but the current Liberal government, headed by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, announced in 2016 it would restore the funding.
Jesus, Harper really is Hitler, isn't he?
Literally,
Yeah.
literally cyber Hitler.
Yeah.
He also wrote a book just
Also-
like Hitler.
Mm.
Was he a painter
Does anybody
too?
have this article open right now?
I do.
I think
Yeah.
you do,
Do
Marty.
do you guys have the clickbait Donald Trump IQ will leave you
Oh.
speechless in the right underneath the
Yeah.
Trudeau picture?
Yeah.
It's such a great to combining the two photos.
Mm,
Nope, I've got bad spelling. Malaya Obama's car makes the Lamborghini look like a wagon. I don't know what
yeah.
that means.
I'm not sure, but I like it. I'll allow it.
All right then. Must be a nice wagon.
Yeah, I googled Stephen Harper watercolor, and I don't see anything. I don't see
Yeah.
any watercolors.
Probably
God,
not
it is.
literally Hitler then, or he's hiding it.
All right.
Yeah,
I don't think there's any more news now. I think that covers this week. We have no rapid fire feedback.
Did we want to go over?
Shout out to the active YouTube comments. I want to thank everyone for listening in.
Oh, I've totally not been on the YouTube at all to see what was going on today. Do we have good comments?
Oh my God!
Anything spicy?
Someone doesn't like Coors Banquet.
Like hot wings.
Mauser 9mm.
Oh well.
That person also eats the left wing of the chicken.
Yeah.
Send better
Really?
beer then. To Ragnarok Tactical. You can find the address on the website, I'm sure, somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's a Mauser 9mm and not a 9mm Parabellum because we have no need. We don't need that. That
Yeah.
9mm.
I
Not yet,
totally
anyways.
forgot that we have YouTube comments and feel really bad right now.
That's all right. We've apologized.
Mauser 9mm is asking about the hotties covered in blood at your medical training on the weekend.
Yeah,
Those are not for sale. You can't get your own. No.
No,
You can't even
Those-
rent them.
no. Those are the Ragnarok Tactical Valkyries. But do you want to do a quick rundown on the medical thing? Tell people about it.
Yeah, okay,
asshole
sure.
not to.
I mean,
I
we've got an audience of one at least that's interested.
Oh, well, hey, I will do anything for the internet, as we've recently learned. So, this past weekend, Ragnarok Tactical, that is to say, Gavin and I, hosted Spent Brass Training Solutions LLC of Rancho Cucamonga, California.
Where?
I'm pretty sure he's at a rancho.
Yeah, one of the ranchos. There's a few of them in California.
So they had an instructor come up that's a certified badass in a lot of different kinds
Yeah,
of
everything.
medical and shooting things. He has a
Now-
lot of credentials.
Can I stop you there? You brought him specifically because he's from California, and you didn't want the debt per capita to like shock and dismay someone from a different state in America. You thought by picking someone from California, like their debt per capita is closer to Canada, like to Ontario's.
It's proportionally
We can't
equal.
let
So
them
that,
overtake Ontario.
It's like when
Yeah.
you train athletes at high altitude. Is that it?
yeah,
Yes, it's like that. But also, he's a solid dude that we got in contact with, and he wanted to come up and do it. And tactical combat casualty care, TCCC or TECC, is not commonly available in Canada, particularly not in the civilian market. So really, the only way to get it is like a gun. You have to join the military or the police. Not actually true, because the police don't really cover TCCC in Canada. So in an effort to provide a better level of civilian first aid training, we had this gentleman come up from California. So Chris was our instructor, and he's a paramedic, former firefighter, former infantry guy, been there, done that, has done a bunch of PMC work, has a bunch of certifications from a bunch of different agencies.
Yeah,
Is
was a
federal
tactical
law enforcement
medic,
trainer.
competes in the Tactical Medic Olympics or whatever it is that like CTOMS is a sponsor of, and a bunch of other medical companies. Is an instructor for a number of government agencies still, and sits on the board or the associations of like every medical body that has anything to do with tactical medicine in the US. So like he's got some credentials.
Yeah. So he came up, did a 2-day medical course, super duper drinking from the fire hose, because you know how when you do your Red Cross first aid, it's like an 8-hour course where they talk about like ABCs, call 911, maybe like apply direct pressure, how to do CPR. This was like, okay, so this is the first 10 minutes, and now we have 7.5 more hours of how to apply tourniquets, pack wounds, deal with traumatic hemorrhaging.
Actually do the stuff that St. John's or the other guys talk about in the first hour.
Yeah. So we applied tourniquets to people. We packed wounds. I got to shoot a piece of meat. I went and I shot a. Well, we're not going to say where I did it, but I went and shot a pork shoulder that we came in and then we wound packed on. So everybody got to like after using the.
Finally got to use your tampons.
Yeah.
Finally got to use the tampons. We talked about tampons and why they're a terrible idea.
Yeah. Well, except for what they're designed for.
Or nosebleeds.
What they're designed for, or nosebleeds.
Or nosebleeds.
But yeah, packing a wound, not so cool.
Not terribly effective.
Yeah. We got those cool wound cubes, which I've been playing with.
Yeah. So day one was theory notes. I have like 18 pages of notes or some nonsense in my notebook, and I couldn't keep up with the note taking. So they taught us the SCAB protocol for dealing with traumatic injury, which is cool. We don't normally do that in Canada, so I'm good with that. We ripped everybody's first aid kits apart. If you have an IFAC, bring your IFAC. Have him go through and critique all your crap and tell you why it's all wrong and you should do it better. Assign everyone push-ups for not following directions. It was a good time. It was a really enjoyable, really long course. It was a lot of learning in a very short amount of time.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah,
it was super fun.
Day 2 was
all right. So
crazy intense.
You guys comment about how you will be modifying your personal IFACs based on periods.
Yeah. So we could talk about that because I'm actually I'm that guy.
And remember,
I have a spreadsheet.
All of this stuff from Ragnarok Tactical.
You should definitely get this stuff from Ragnarok Tactical. I actually just sent a thing to anybody on the email list. If there's stuff that you want at Ragnarok Tactical that we don't currently have, you should let me know because I'm going to be expanding our first aid selection. Because up until now, we don't sell NPAs because I was told by a distributor that civilians can't have NPAs. That's not true. Now we have courses in Canada where we learn how to stick NPAs up people's noses, and I can vouch for the fact that no hoses have been stuck in my nose. We're gonna sell NPAs. We're still not gonna do like super duper invasive surgery stuff, but yeah, if you want medical stuff that's beyond your normal St. John's Ambulance, Red Cross first aid stuff, let me know and I will get it from one of our suppliers.
Yeah, I mean, I was lucky in that my IFAC was basically had everything I needed. I was lucky when I went and bought my very first one as a complete kit. It came with all of the shit I needed and none of the shit I didn't really. But I lucked out on that.
I want to address Marty's question. So the first thing and really the only thing that I'll change on my IFAC, and I have 2 IFACs. I have one IFAC on my battle belt that I use basically whenever I'm at the range, whenever I'm teaching or at a match, with the exception of IPSC matches, because we're not allowed to use cool guy gear there. You have to use IPSC stuff. But 3-gun, multi-gun, service condition stuff, I have the same belt all the time with the same IFAC. And the only thing I'll really be adding is a nasal pharyngeal airway, nose hose to be able to address patients that are unable to breathe. Nothing else is really going to change, although I'm going to be making a much bigger IFAC because I have the itty bitty belt kit. And I'm a little light on wound packing material, we've discovered, because bullet holes are a lot bigger than they look.
Which is why tampons don't work.
Right. So just because the tiny little 223 caliber hole is a tiny little hole that you can't put your finger in because it's, less than a 1/4 inch and my finger is bigger than that and it won't go in. If you can get your finger into that hole with some gauze, I put a 9mm hole in a pork shoulder and I could have used another 10 feet of gauze after the first 10 feet to keep packing the big hole I made.
Yeah.
Now, what if you have a tampon made for like, okay, let's talk about liberal Tim. He's got a shiny new vagina. It
Yeah.
probably takes a pretty small tampon at this point.
Yeah, it'll be really tight because
No.
it's new.
No, I've been liberal for like a week, so I already stretched that some bitch out.
Uh,
So I'll be adding an NPA to my IFACs, both my work IFAC and my range IFAC. And,
yeah, I'm gonna definitely beef up my car. Like I have just like Andrew, I run 2 IFACs. I've got one on my belt and one in my range bag at all times. But I'm definitely gonna beef up my car trauma kit because I do volunteer search and rescue as well. And just because once you've gone through this course and realized just like how much shit you actually need for something so simple, you go, I am woefully underprepared. Even though I thought I was prepared, I am woefully underprepared because
even dealing with what we had with our so we had simulated scenarios on Saturday, which is why we had the ladies that volunteered to come and get covered in blood.
The bleeding chicks.
Even with 2 casualties, it's like we went through like 3 tourniquets on one exercise, and it's like there's only 2 casualties. This is unacceptable. I have this many people in my vehicle on a regular day. I should have more tourniquets. I should have more hemostatic dressings. I should have more pressure dressings.
Because potentially,
in terms of ballistic wounds, like the shot those shoulders with full metal jacket ammunition. So it was a clean through and through.
Yeah. What you should have done, though, is before you ran the course, what I would have liked you guys to see is if you should have reached out to your local Liberal candidates because they're usually experts on packing holes.
It's funny because it's true.
But yeah, like you go through your IFAC and it's like most guys will have, if you've got a proper IFAC, you've got a tourniquet, you've got some sort of gauze, and then you've got a pressure dressing. You made to use all 3 of those on one wound.
Right. So this is the thing that we're dealing with. So tourniquet for massive hemorrhages, hemostatic agent for other hemorrhages, pressure dressing to deal with that after the fact, airway, that's your nose hose, your nasal pharyngeal airway, and breathing, a chest seal. And this is like, in my mind, these are the bare minimum things. And most of those, like you're using most of those to deal with 1 or maybe 2 major traumas on a single casualty. Yeah. So
like if you get a bullet hole, or doesn't even need to be a bullet hole, but any cavity,
a hole that's in a car accident,
hole that nicks an artery in an extremity, you're going to have to tourniquet it. Once you do that, you pack it and put a pressure dressing on it. So you've used 3 things to fix 1 injury.
Right. So I don't feel that my IFACs were not sufficient, with the exception of the airway management tool, which I did not feel qualified to use before, but now having had one stuck up my nose, I feel much more comfortable. Ish.
Violated, but more comfortable, yes.
Yeah. Oddly aroused.
Well, oddly aroused.
Yeah. The first time is the hardest.
Yeah.
I hope so. So I would strongly encourage our listeners to go on Ragnarok Tactical, look at what we sell. If there's stuff there that we don't have that you're looking for, let me know what it is, because we're going to be getting in touch with our suppliers to get a big order of medical stuff in, because we went through a lot of medical product over the weekend.
Yes.
But I tell you what I don't like about Ragnarok is their flat rate shipping. Oh wait,
yes, the $10 flat rate domestic shipping is awful.
It's a bit of a bastard,
but mostly for me, not for the consumer.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like they have to pay a lot of Canada Post.
But if you guys aren't sure what you need in your kits, we cannot sell a kit put together for you because we don't have a medical devices license. But if you email us, we will tell you everything that you need to put a kit together.
Oh no, I fixed the website. I made it even easier.
Oh, look, you're a genius.
You have like a one click add to cart and it adds a whole bunch of stuff?
I don't have a one-click add to cart thing because Health Canada will get mad at us because we're not allowed to make first aid kits.
You just been governed, son.
We have been governed. But what you can do is if you go to Ragnarok Tactical and you go to the first aid section. So if you go to products, there's a products button at the top and click on first aid, you'll see all the first aid products. And on the left, I know this is going to be confusing, but look on the left, there's a shop buy option.
All right, so hang on, turn this live. It's CanadianPatriotPodcast.com.
Shop RagnarokTactical.ca.
RagnarokTactical.ca. So you go to the shop buy and look at each of the categories and pick one item from those categories. So when you click on bandages, there are different kinds of pressure dressing bandages. When you click on cutting, there are different kinds of shears. When you click on hemostatic, there are different hemostatic agents. You go through each of those categories, you pick one of those things, you put it in your cart, and once you've done that, you've covered all of your bases. You don't
well, then you need to go buy a pouch to put it all in, but you know.
Right, put it in a pouch, absolutely, which you can buy through us. We have lots of different kinds of pouches, HSGI and Warrior Assault Systems or 511. You've got options. Just pick a pouch that's appropriately sized for your stuff. If you don't know what it is, let me know and I will help you find an appropriately sized pouch because I have all the stuff and I can test fit it all for you. But you don't need to buy every hemostatic dressing that we sell. You need to buy the hemostatic agent or the hemostatic dressing that is the right size for what you want to do. And trust me when I say that more is always better.
I'm sure that if people did want to buy everyone, though, you would be willing to sell them to them.
Oh, I would 100% sell them all of the things, but
yes, and we had that guy present at our course. Thank you.
So if you want that, I mean,
podcast. Because I would guess that he's a member of this podcast.
No.
There's somebody that buys more shit than you.
Yes,
Norm.
Wow.
Norm.
Wow.
Norm
is one of your game.
Yeah. Oh, don't worry. After this, I will be. But yes,
Norm is one of my favorite students because Norm is the first guy that I ordered medical stuff for that I was uncomfortable selling, and I was like, I don't recommend doing this, but if you want it, I'll get it for you, but I don't think it's a good plan. He's like, well, this is what I've read about, and this is what I'm comfortable with, and this is what I want. I'm like, okay. And Norm is now going to be retiring a couple of those products and buying something superior.
Also from us. So that's good. Thank you, Norm. Yes.
Granulated hemostatic agent is strongly discouraged.
And
it is not
powder shit you dump on the wound.
That's the stuff.
You're
supposed to dump it in the wound, but it's
outdated. Wow. Yeah. Very outdated.
So
we've also learned that you don't put sticks in things and you don't pour Coke on it. Thanks to Norm.
Yeah,
turmeric.
Well, okay, which Coke are you referring to?
Either.
It comes in a can, carbonated.
Or the down the throat stuff.
Carbonated comes in a can. You drink it.
Is that a 3%er thing?
Is it what now?
Is that a 3%er thing? What the hell's going on with Coke in a wound?
I don't know. Norm was trying to put Coke in a lot of things.
You're supposed to put on burns.
We were talking about improvising stuff for a situation where you may be without or with minimal supplies.
So could you irrigate a wound?
You saw it on a liberal website, but they were referring to it as the can.
Yeah.
Inserting the can, but he just
got a totally different thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's usually the wound is caused by the can.
So yeah. But yes, Tim, you're right. That it absolutely is what the conversation was irrigation of wounds and things like that. And can I use Coke?
That would be a horrible, terrible idea.
No.
If I can't stick my finger in it, can I use a stick? No.
No.
With a hammer. If it's a vampire.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So
have a diet Coke. A stack of gauze on top of it and then shoot it again. So the bullet travels and pushes the
yeah, shoot the wound clean.
Yeah.
Jam the bullet through with a metal.
It was a very enjoyable course. Awesome. We're going to try and get Chris back up again in the springtime, probably in the next 6 months to a year, depending on scheduling. And we'll look at running likely a couple of one-day courses with him. It'll be back-to-back 2 different one-day courses because the 2 days, it was $450 American, which is quite a lot of Canadian dollars.
It's like 1,200 Canadian, isn't it?
Oh,
It was like $1 million Canadian. I had to leverage my grandchildren's futures.
Just
yeah,
make
but
sure it's not.
Hey,
well,
those
not
futures
Ray
belong to
Lincoln.
the Liberal government.
you know, it was worth every penny. I mean, that was some
Yeah.
very intense. I mean,
As-
the hands-on scenarios were, I mean, key in my opinion.
Yeah, the hands-on scenarios were great. The classroom training was great. The instructional material that we have is fantastic. I mean, like, I'm coming into this as someone who is relatively well versed in first aid stuff. Like, I have training that the military gave out early in the current war in Afghanistan, so like it covered how to deal with gunshot wounds and stuff. But I had never actually dealt with, like, I've read about NPAs and I've watched videos on NPAs, but I've never actually been hands-on with a nasopharyngeal airway. So I've never been comfortable carrying one around for fear of misusing it. But
Good plan.
now that's been alleviated, right?
So,
it's
have you
just-
been hands on
I've
one
seen
now, or
one,
just nose on one?
I've seen one been used once before for legitimate, like, out of necessity. And
you know what? I think it
the
might
fuck
just be
out
a
of those
fun
things
Saturday
now.
night from now on. We're gonna pick somebody, and I'm gonna get to put NPA up their nose,
Oh, okay.
just so I can keep current on that skill.
Yeah.
I've got to practice. Yeah.
Well, and that's the other thing with this is we were using all legit gear, so it was actual tourniquets, it was
Practical.
actual dressings,
Nice.
it was actual fake blood. The
Yeah.
actual fake blood was not.
Wait, hang on a second.
A lot. Like,
So-
we went through a gallon of fake blood.
Yeah,
Well, that's a good point about using the realistic stuff, because I mean, some first aid courses I've taken, they're like, "Here's an Israeli bandage," and I'm like, "Okay, how do I get it out of the package?"
right.
Wait
and
a
that was the
minute.
thing. It was like,
First of
how
all,
do
I'm
I?
impressed you took a.
how do I-
I'm impressed you took a first aid course that actually used or even mentioned an Israeli bandit.
Yeah, it was with a paramedic who was, he was into actually saving people's asses. So he was a very interesting fellow.
you didn't put an Israeli bandage on a pork shoulder, did you?
Boy, hey.
Not recently.
Is that allowed?
Yes.
Okay.
I have to say,
You're probably going to get like a letter.
I was surprised from the photos that the Full Metal Jacket 223, like how little damage it did. Like that was a clean a clean through and through.
It was through and through, but it blew out 4
yeah.
cubic inches of meat off of a roast that only weighed 2 pounds when I started. It took a lot of meat with it that was just gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from the photos, I like looking at the after, like it looked like it was just like it was a nice clean 22 hole right through the center.
Yeah,
I mean,
except all the meat that used to be there that wasn't, because it just is gone, absent.
Yeah. I was one of the latter people to finger fuck the gauze into the rifle hole, so I had to use the handgun hole.
You got sloppy seconds.
More like sloppy 7ths or 8ths, but
Still
by
counts.
the time they were done with it, I mean, it was a massive, gaping Trudeau-sized hole.
Wow.
And
It's hard to imagine.
but even like on the 9mm, so obviously the entry is going to be much larger. It's still surprising, like just how much space is in the back end of that's now gone. And
Are you
I
still
mean,
talking
you
about
use-
Trudeau? How much you're talking about space in the back end?
It's
Just flapping in the
equivalent.
breeze.
It's equivalent, really, but it is surprising how much gauze actually fits in there. Like,
Yeah. When the
It's
wind blows,
unbelievable.
his ass whistles.
I talked to a cop one time, and his partner got shot in the shoulder by a bad guy, and he said that it basically took a massive chunk out of his shoulder, like with a 9mm handgun. It was like a big piece of his shoulder was just missing.
Oosh.
Yeah, that does not surprise me. I mean, it sucks.
Yeah.
Gunshot wounds are devastating.
we saw a lot of really, really gross images over the weekend, like dudes with their faces that blown off that are still somehow alive.
Yeah.
And there is
And again,
all you
like
could do to
compare and contrast this with your basic first aid course, and they talk about various injuries and Maybe Red Cross shows a couple of pictures. Yeah, no, this dude had
Picture
like a whole.
drawing.
I've recently taken a basic first aid course, and they go, "If you're at all uncomfortable, just call 911."
Yeah, no, this
When I got
guy
my
was
gas
like,
license the first
so-
time, like,
Yeah.
dude showed us pictures of himself like after he got blown up. Like, he blew himself up like 3 times. Like, that's great. Can I learn from the guy that didn't blow himself up 3 times?
Yeah.
You were saying, Andrew?
I don't know. It's all good. It was a good course. I look forward to having Chris and Spent Brass Training Solutions LLC back up north of the wall at some point in the very near future, because we'd like to run more of these courses, more people trained. Because when some incel runs you over with the truck of peace because he's an alt-right activist, I want people to be able to fix those wounds.
Yeah.
Those right wingers, Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. If we
No,
can't
that's-
take them out with concealed handguns, we should at least be able to patch up the people that they ran over.
You know what? Just for more practical, like, we're all, most part here, especially the listeners, like, we're all firearms users. We're on the range. Some of us are match
Stuff
directors. Stuff happens.
Yeah.
It's incredibly safe sport. It's the safest sport out there. But once something goes wrong, it can be devastating. So.
Yeah, but like you said, it's not even firearms. It's everyday life.
Yeah, car accidents it's definitely a lot more applicable to
Yeah.
a car accident than anything.
But yeah, when it goes wrong bad.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. On that note, boys, I gotta go to bed. Great show.
All right.
All right.
Later.
See you, Dave. See ya.
Dave.
So Dave's already bailed. Let's do where everybody can find you. Gavin, where can people find you on the internet?
The best place is on Instagram at urbex_GTA, or hanging out with Ragnarok, doing fun shit.
As you should be. Marty, where can everybody find the show?
Pull the show notes.
Good stuff.
Scroll. Yep, there we
They
go.
probably found it.
Visit us at CanadianPatriotPodcast.com, Facebook.com/Canadian Patriot Podcast. Or you can send us your feedback at the usual sources. Tim's Good T-shirts, apparently.
Tim, where can everybody find you?
You can find me at Facebook.com/Tim's Good T-shirts.
Right on. As always, my name is Andrew. I've been your host. You can find me at RagnarokTactical.ca. Buy some bandages, take some training courses. Help me put my child through college because I'm convinced the liberals can't. For all of you, I have to apologize to Rod Giltaca. We could not fit him into the show this week. He does a different kind of training, not the medical stuff. And this week we talked about medical stuff. So
Yeah. Sorry. It was a
Also a
last
good
minute
match.
thing, and yeah.
And for all of our listeners out there in podcast land, I would like to remind you that you are the true North, strong and free.